the guy he shot was like this. And then he was probably, and he leaned in, so he was like this. And so at that time he was shot, he was kind of leaning forward. You were describing to the detective what you observed Mr. Rosenbaum doing, correct?
Correct.
Could you describe that or show us?
It's probably easier to show, to
Please.
be honest. It's just like he was in a low position. He's in a low position running, and then when he went for the front portion of the rifle, he lunged forward like that.
Okay, so you've shown somebody in the tack position, you lunge forward and putting both of your arms out, and you're saying going for the barrel.
I would say he was more like kind of in an athletic position, like you would if you were, like running as fast as you could. And then, I'm sorry, could you repeat the second part?
So he's running as fast as he could, and then you showed both of your arms going out almost like a Superman?
It was like a little bit, I think Superman would be kind of, straight out. It was more like out and down because the rifle was aimed, like it was lower than where his hands were, so his hands were actually going kind of downward as well, towards the barrel.
When he goes for the barrel, what does Kyle do with the gun?
He dodged around it.
And then does what?
And then leveled the weapon and fired. And it wasn't necessarily leveled because Mr. Rosenbaum was in a lower position, so it was still somewhat angled towards the ground, but it was leveled at his body.
Okay. This exchange, ask you if you remember it. That's the only reason why I say that there were more people involved. Detective, okay, in trying to corner this guy or whatever. Detective, because I just heard a lot of yelling and a lot of really fast movement. That's more talking about what you observed at the beginning, correct?
Correct, yes.
But you thought this was a group of people, at least two, trying to get Kyle's gun from him when he's alone.
If I were to, I believe that I was speculating that that's what they were trying to do based on what I saw.
Okay. And the shots that you heard, there's a shot, and then there's Kyle's shots, correct?
Correct.
The shot that you hear first, can you say whether it's in front of you, behind you, to the side of you?
There's like the building, that's the actual building in that lot. That's to my right as I'm running. And Mr. Rosenbaum and Mr. Rittenhouse are in front of me. And it was like to my left.
Okay. So as you're advancing, it would be from the area of the sidewalk.
Correct.
And you've looked at numerous videos now, not that day, but since, and you actually see the flash of gunfire.
Correct.
Your statement, getting towards the end, and it was pretty clear to me that the guy with the gun was trying to evade the other guy, and that's throughout this event until he stops.
Yes, that's an accurate statement.
He did not want to be caught by Mr. Rosenbaum.
That is correct.
And when he finally did turn and point the gun, Rosenbaum kept advancing.
Correct.
And Kyle Rittenhouse had no way of knowing that this was a three-person grouping. In other words, him, Rosenbaum, you. Is that a fair statement?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. I don't know how this witness could testify as to what Kyle Rittenhouse knew or did not know.
Well, his actual question was not what he knew, but rather whether he asked whether, or he said he had no way of knowing. I think I'd be more comfortable if you rephrased your question.
To your knowledge, did Kyle Rittenhouse know that you were behind Mr. Rosenbaum?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. I don't know how this witness would know what Kyle Rittenhouse knew. It's a complete speculation as to the defendant's state of mind.
Overruled. Well, I think it would need to be phrased in terms of, did the physical circumstances suggest that Mr. Rittenhouse would have been in a position to know?
Sir, would Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse been in a position to know that you were behind Mr. Rosenbaum?
He was certainly close enough, but I wasn't looking at where he was looking. I was looking, like I said, at that point at the front portion of the weapon. It was quite light in that area, so it's very possible that if he had have been looking in my direction, he certainly would have seen me.
But he's running away from where you are until he turns, and he has this guy coming at him, correct?
Correct.
And if Mr. Rosenbaum had stopped 5 or 7 feet away from him, would he have been shot?
I'm going to object, Your Honor.
Now, earlier, there was, well, I'll go a little bit further. You're giving aid to Mr. Rosenbaum after he's been shot 4 times. Were those shots slow, bang, 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 or were they in quick succession?
It was extremely quick. The night of, I said it was 3 or 4 because it was so quick that it was hard for me to count.
And now everyone agrees it's 4, and you do too?
Yes.
Okay. And after he's shot, you pick him up and you try to carry him to the hospital, but you stop at a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
What's happening to you as you're stopping or trying to get him to this vehicle? What's happening to you?
Well, there was a very large crowd around us. Everyone was yelling. I was getting bumped, and I thought that I was just being bumped by the crowd, but then, I got bumped a little bit harder, and then I felt a fist hit my face as I was loading him into the back of the vehicle.
And you, sir, I felt what in my face?
A fist.
So there's a large group of people surrounding you and the other individual carrying Mr. Rosenbaum to the car.
Yes.
And people in that crowd were striking at you.
I can only identify the one person because, again, I thought I had a lot of adrenaline, and I didn't think it was anything beyond getting, being in a mob, a crowd of people who were all, I guess, very animated. A lot of people were yelling, and I didn't really feel it until it was like a hard punch to the side of my face, and I turned around and saw the individual, and he was pointing at me, like he was mad at me.
Like he wanted more punches at you. Is that it?
Yeah, I at that point I was actually just entering the rear of the vehicle, and so he hit me, and I looked back, and I actually kicked my legs towards where he was at the tailgate to get him away from me.
Thank you. And you go to that interview, and they're very interested in your phone, correct?
Correct.
You are told that they're either going to take your phone and get a search warrant, or you'll give consent, correct?
Correct.
And you don't want to give up everything in your phone because it's your job and your livelihood. Is that a fair statement?
I didn't want to lose possession of my phone because it is my livelihood, yes.
Okay. Did they tell you they weren't going to go into your phone because of Marcy's Law?
I don't recall that.
If somebody said that, you'd remember that, correct?
Yeah, what they said was, can we take your phone to download the videos? And I gave it to them. I don't recall anything about Marcy's Law.
They told you if you didn't give them consent, they were going to get a search warrant, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you were not written a curfew ticket, correct?
That's correct. I was not written one.
Now, you also testified about how at this riot, demonstration, whatever you want to call it, there were more firearms than you'd seen at other places, correct?
Yes, well, I would say the most firearms was probably Seattle, but yes,
Okay. Portland, you can't open carry or you'll be arrested, correct?
I believe so.
New York, you can't open carry or you'll be arrested,
That's for sure.
for sure. Washington DC, can't open carry or you'll be arrested.
Correct.
Wisconsin, you can open carry.
Correct. You know
So
better
that
than I
makes,
do.
yeah, that
Yes.
makes for a prevalence of guns.
Yes. And I believe the same in Seattle as well.
And the second night of the riots, you came to Kenosha and you saw the car source lot with all the cars, not the one where the shooting happened, but the one right below your hotel burned,
Yeah, it was burning every night.
okay? But that was the night where most all of the cars went out.
Are you referring to Monday night?
Yes,
Yes. The night
Okay.
before the shooting, you're saying?
yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't make myself clear. Monday night, the first car source lot with maybe 30, 40 cars goes up.
Yes.
Okay, and the fire department didn't come.
That was when we interviewed the individuals with the power washer and the buckets of water. I didn't see, I mean, I saw the fire department responding to a different fire at a furniture store, but not in front of that lot.
Okay, and that's the night where some cars got put on fire at Car Source 2, and they were trying to put it out with a power washer and I think buckets.
Like literally buckets and trash cans of
Okay,
water.
and that was citizens, not the fire department.
That's correct.
And when, and then I'll end, you had no fear or problem from Kyle or Mr. Balch when you went out on that patrol with them?
I would say that I was certainly fearful just in a general sense, given that there were weapons and that it was a chaotic environment.
Were you fearful of Mr. Balch and Mr. Rittenhouse?
At the time that I was walking with them?
Yes.
I was fearful of the potentiality that, those weapons would be used. So I would say like I was elevated in terms of my assessment of the risk involved in the situation. But I wouldn't say that I was specifically fearful of them individually. I was
Okay.
fearful of what might happen.
You're fearful of the situation in Kenosha on August 25th of 2020, all the armed people, the rioting, the chaos, and the social unrest,
And the guns, yeah.
and the guns.
Yeah.
And both sides had guns.
I actually didn't see, I know after seeing video, I do see that now, but the only armed individuals that I saw that night were in front of the business.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
Okay, before redirect, we're going to squeeze in a quick break. Stay right here. Lots more ahead in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial in Kenosha.